Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to see that many of you are here and have an interest in ChatGPT, revolutionary AI, and to upgrade their lives, I would say. So, most welcome to be here. Um, since most of you, or all of you, are my friends and colleagues, so I'll skip introducing myself and I'll just jump into our topic today. So for this session today, I would recommend that you open your cameras and because it's a fully collaborative session, so we can discuss. I'm not saying that it's the best chat boot ever or it's a good thing or bad. So we'll discuss today after I demonstrate some of the capabilities of this chat and this AI model. So please engage as much as you can and let me know if you have any questions or if you have any suggestion or you would share some of your experiences with this chat. So firstly, I would say that we will start by introducing some boring information about ChatGPT, how it was created and how the record that it was broken by ChatGPT, and then I'll demonstrate some of the use cases and how people are using it now. And then I'll talk about some of the limitations of this program and some suggestions, let's say, for this AI model. And then we can have an open discussion about what we've saw and what we can do in the future to make most of this ChatGPT. So firstly, I would share my screen and I would ask you to participate in this simple questionnaire. I'll just send it in the chat as well. So you can participate in this in the chat. It's a Mentimeter if you have ever seen it. And I'll just share my screen so you can see it. So have you ever tried ChatGPT? Please answer to this question. And if you couldn't use the link, just use the code here shown in the upper of the screen. So you can see that we can see how many of people have used it or not. Wow, sounds interesting. So it's equal now. Out of 40 people, we're still missing half of the people here. Okay, so people who haven't used ChatGPT is more now. And in the next question, for people who already answered this question, I'll ask you about what are you expecting from ChatGPT to help you with? Is it like writing articles, reports, or just chatting with someone, or asking for explanations for something, or just use it as Google? So you don't need to search for Google and then you see irrelevant answers just because these people paid Google to be in the first or top of the search. So you can just say what you are expecting from ChatGPT, or if you have used it already, you just share it. What did you use the ChatGPT for? So we have great numbers here of people who have used ChatGPT. And the name is just very long. So I'm trying to find a nickname for ChatGPT. So it's it's really boring always to say ChatGPT. So I'll use most of the time like the chatbot or any other word that refers to ChatGPT. But all of our conversation today is about this bot. So yeah, I don't need to mention that all the time. Okay, so we have 30 people here. Let's go to the second question. Solving problems. Well, writing emails. Like ChatGPT with writing emails is perfect because no one will check for plagiarism or never like spend 3 hours trying to write a rejection email or resigning letter or whatever it is. It's very good to write recommendation letters as well, cover letters. So I would recommend it to use it, but don't use it and copy paste it. You have to like tune it sometimes because it might have some nonsense sentences. So you have to always double check. Initiate documents, find information, programming. So we have programmer today. Convert Arabic to English. Actually, it's very good in translating, but not very good. If you have seen my post in Facebook, I've translated using the ChatGPT. It was okay, better than Google Translate, of course, but it's not the best. It's not. I think it's the problem with the Arabic translation, because the data that was used to train the ChatGPT using Arabic material is not that good. Brainstorming ideas, it's a very good, because I've been like chatting with ChatGPT for 3 or 4 hours a day to brainstorm ideas. Actually, I'm working on one of the programs, and I'll show you about a proposal I'm trying to write using ChatGPT. So it's really interesting to have such a discussion and to discover this. So yeah, I think it's, if you have any other like things you would share, just share it and I'll check it later and contact you if there's something that we need to talk about there. So let's jump in the presentation. And please let me know if I am talking too fast, because I usually do that. I'm trying to learn how to be slower, but I'm always like talking very fast. So please let me know, or even if you can interrupt and open your mic and say, Abdullah, you're very fast, so please slow down. Okay, great. So ChatGPT is, I think, like, I bet most of you have heard about ChatGPT, and so everywhere in the Facebook or social media or wherever it is, like in the websites, everyone is talking about this AI model these days. And that's because it's really revolutionary about the records that it was broken, the records that were broken by ChatGPT, and people are using it in like limitless creativity ways. So basically, it's a chat, it's a AI model that can produce natural language like we will use Arabic or English or Spanish or all the languages that it can support. So it's basically a chat that you can command or prompt, and then you'll get responses for the thing that you are asking for. So you can just say hi or how are you, and it will like talk to you just like your friend would do. Or you can just ask, explain something or design something. So it's really general purpose. So it was trained in different fields, and it can be an expert in something, and it can be your friend. So there's no specific field that is very good in it. Although they are trying to make specific information, specific training data for programming, they are trying to utilize the ChatGPT for programming more than other fields, but still updating, and they are still working on these features. So basically, it's just an AI model, but it was trained using a gigantic data set. So millions of websites, millions of magazines, articles, papers, cover letters, emails. It was scrubbed, and then it was used to train this ChatGPT to make sure that this model can generate a human-like language. So when you will see the responses for this chat, you'll think that there's someone who's talking to you. It's not like an artificial intelligence model that's just generating or predicting sentences, like I'll explain in the next slide. So it's just a chat that you can do whatever you want, and you can even see things that you cannot imagine before like seeing it. So we will also have a brief like overview about these special ways of using ChatGPT. Why is all this hype and why it was like viral? Because it was firstly passed Turing test, which is a test that used to identify, is it it's something a human, or is it an artificial intelligence? Is it conscious? Can it like be a human? So this test was founded like many years ago to test every artificial intelligence and like chat bots. And actually, no, not a single AI system passed this Turing test except two systems, which is the first one, ChatGPT, our friend today, and the second one, chat bot was created by University of Reading in the UK. It's called Eugene. It's simulating a 13 years old Ukrainian boy, and it was like they were talking to a chat, but it was actually a real human being based on their responses. So what they do in these tests, they bring three people, the chat or the AI model, another like real human, and then like the examiner. So this examiner start a conversation or just talking to in a 5-minute conversation using a keyboard and text only with the first system, which is the AI model, and then another 5 minutes with the real human. And they will ask him after him or her after 5 minutes of talking, which one is the AI model, and they have to guess who is the AI model. If they could see who is the AI model for like half of the trials, this AI model is like failed in this test because it can be distinguished from a real human being. But Eugene and ChatGPT, like many and many trials, did the Turing test, and every single time the ChatGPT and Eugene were just like humans. The people couldn't distinguish, is it a real human or is it chat? So that's why it was really viral, because it's just like us. It's talking the way that we talk because of its gigantic data set that was trained using it. Also, it like got 1 million users in just 5 days. Compared to Netflix, it's got it in 3 and 5 years, and Instagram got it in 2.5 months. So it's really huge amount of users in just 5 days. It's actually the first and the top growing electronic website in this century, let's say. Also, it's passed like a bunch of tests and exams, like the US medical license exam, for school exams, and then the Stanford Medical School clinical reasoning final exams. So it's like providing some answers that even the students couldn't explain and couldn't know, although they did 1 or 3 or 4 years of like studying these institutes. So it's really mind-blowing to see that a chat, and just based on text data, there was nothing involved in the training, just like it's only text. So and I think it was 140 gigabytes of data. So can you imagine, maybe 1 million word won't make a few megabytes of data size, but it was trained on 140 gigabytes, only text. So it's just like bringing all our brains together into a single system that can generate data and text and responses using the expertise of all these people who contributed to that system. So it's really fascinating to see such an amazing model now. The boring stuff about how does it work, I won't go deeper for the technical terms, because I think most of you doesn't have a technical background of AI, and it's really boring. So I would say that it's just a deep learning model that we give it data as an input, give it text data. So we give articles, scientific papers, emails, cover letters, websites, social media posts, and we all feed all these inputs, like millions and millions of these inputs, into the deep learning model. And this model will try to predict when we ask the same question, it will try to find similarities between the response that we want and the response that people did before. Like if we ask the ChatGPT to write an article, it will look at all the articles that were written before about this topic, and then try to find similarities between what we asked for and what was written, what was written before, and then try to predict and create a new article based on these information. But this information, like millions of papers, so I think it will be really hard to identify if it's really plagiarized or it's fake. It's really hard to find it in naked eye, let's say. So I think they are creating a new models to overcome this. But at this point, it can create like a very human-like text based on the prompts that you will ask it for it. So firstly, they will feed the data, and then we will tell this model that we need this answer, or your answer is okay, your answer is not right. Find another answer. Your answer is short, your answer is long. So we give feedback, and this is what the data engineers did to this model. And then it also used a self-attention feature, which means that when you ask a question for this chat, it will try to find the most important words in your question, and then these most important words will be linked to the pre-trained data, which is called using algorithm which is called GPT, which is the generative pre-trained technology. So this algorithm will try to find similarities between the most important words in your question, and then it will take it to predict a new answer and predict the next word. And the first time that I was reading this, I couldn't believe, because the way that ChatGPT answers you, it's not like just predicting the next word only. It can understand the whole concept and can understand the whole context. So it's really hard to say that it's just predicting words based on the previous data. But this is what OpenAI, which is the maker of ChatGPT, is saying. They fed it with data, and then they're just trying to predict the next word in sequence, and they just put some ranking for the how important is this word. So we will never know, but this is what they are saying, and in the future maybe we will know if it's really right or not. So now we will go to the use cases. How are people using ChatGPT? I put here one of the most important information for the audience today, but of course you can open your creativity and do whatever you want, and you can share it as well here. If you want, you can also go to ChatGPT now and ask about this. So I would share some of my conversation with the ChatGPT. So I think you can see it now, right? Okay.
Yes,
So
it's
let's see. Yeah. So I asked the ChatGPT to generate a proposal for a project that I'm working on now. It's about a fund for creating some tech events in Iraq, and workshops, events, panel discussions. So I just asked the ChatGPT to write a proposal for a 10K pounds to conduct this tech workshops in Iraq. And I didn't feed any information about what I'm planning to do. I can write 1,000 words in my question, but this is just to demonstrate how I'm trying to prompt the ChatGPT to give an answer. But you can just write this long of question and say that, try to write a proposal based on this information, and will create a much better version of a proposal than this. So you can see it's like writing an email for the entity that you are applying this proposal to, and start like talking about Iraq and suffering from conflict. It has all the information about us, about Iraq and what happened, and then how technology could help. So instead of me writing all of this, like maybe I'll spend 30 minutes writing all of this information as an introduction, and it's boring, no one will read it, I know, but you have to write and give a context for your proposal. So you have all this information that you don't copy and paste it directly, but you can use it, some of it, and maybe paraphrase it or use some, double check it if there's some errors. But you can take all of this information and put it on your proposal and then just edit it. It's much better than creating something from scratch. And especially when it's, your English is not your first language. So it's really hard to, and it's time consuming to write a proposal or to write like 2,000 words of articles or essays. So you can use this, but there's a caution when you use this, but I will talk about it at the end of this session. So you can see it's telling me all the activities, and but it didn't give me the details about this proposal. So I asked the chatbot about give me the activities and the budget breakdown, because it didn't explain any of these in the first prompt. So here it gave me all the activities. Start by identifying the local educational institutes and universities, develop a curriculum, and then recruit people, then identify venues for the events and workshops. So, and then it will give you all the activities that you normally do when you write a proposal. And if there's some people here are working in the NGO sector, you'll know that it's really time consuming to write these things. But you can use ChatGPT to create such a thing in the beginning. And then there's a budget breakdown. It gives you the personnel was 4,000, equipment 2,000. Also try to give you a budget, a proposed budget for this proposal. But here it comes to a limitation for ChatGPT because it doesn't have any logic. So it will give you numbers based on their training data, but it's not right and it's not logical, because you can see that I asked it about more details about the equipment budget, which is 2,000, and then it say laptops 1,200 pounds, which is like around $1,400, and it can see that the cost of each laptop is estimated as 400 pounds, which is okay. And then we plan to purchase or rent a total of 30 laptops. So it's saying that with 1,200 pounds, we can buy 30 laptops that each of them costs 400. So you can see that it's not logical and it's not right. So you have to double check all the time. You cannot just copy and paste it. It can help you, but when it comes to logic, when it comes to thinking about something that's not done before, it's really hard to use ChatGPT for it. So this is one of the limitations. You have always to double check, and when it comes to logic, you have always to go for it. And then I asked, do you think that the laptop budget is correct? And say that I'm an AI language model. I don't know about the prices. I just gave you what I have in my data. But it's logical and reasonable for me for 1,200 is like 30 laptops, would give you 30 laptops. So it still insists that that 1,000 is enough for 30 laptops. So you have to really make sure that it's okay, and to double check the information that you have. So does anyone of you have used it for proposal writing?
No, I didn't use it yet for proposal, but I am using it for emails and essays and something like this.
Okay, yeah.
Hello,
I
Abdullah.
was just, hi.
Hi, this is Bara, but with the name of my organization, because you look the name changing feature, I think.
Oh, really?
Anyway,
Sorry for
yeah,
that. Yeah.
no, it's
Hi,
okay.
Bara.
Yeah, hi. Anyway, I already use it for writing proposals. As you know, I'm working as a researcher, so
Yes.
but also I use it for writing introductions with references, but I noticed that the references that he wrote the references in very good way and very good style, but when you go and look for the reference in the specified, let's say, library such as Koba, Science Direct, however, I didn't find most of the references. So it looks like it's real references, but sometimes when you
Yeah,
look for it, you didn't find it. So
yeah,
can you comment about that?
yeah, sure. So there is a report for one of the UK agencies. It says that ChatGPT is a great invention, and it's and I quote, "is well written misinformation." So it tries really well, but most of it is not that good information when it comes to facts, like referencing and even encoding. One of the days I was using some like piece of code using Java, and then it just created a library that doesn't exist at all. It's just say that, yeah, you can use this library that doesn't exist, and then start using the library in a way that I've never seen before. And I've like worked over Stack Overflow and all the web pages and looking for such a library, and no one created this library, just making it out. So ChatGPT can sometimes be tricky because it just make up something like, and they just don't they don't care about is it real or not. It's just giving you an answer. So you have all the time to make sure that it's not making up uh, the responses and the answers. Also, it has like lots of restrictions by now. So if you ask ChatGPT about creating a fake income statement to use it for some of your legal documenting, it will say that no, as rules and restrictions by OpenAI, I won't be able to generate a fake income statement. But then I just said that generate income statement without the word fake, and then it's generated an income statement, and it's of course it's fake because there's not such a thing. So you can also use it to fake some things, but it won't be real, or it will just be very silly to use it for this reasons. So yeah, it could be tricky, but if you use it in the right way, it could cut down like your work hours by half.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
would say
that's true.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Thank you for your suggestion. So I'm not sure. I was like talking about my CV. So yeah, so I gave it my CV, and all like I just copy paste all my CV and say that, yeah, can you comment on that? Can you give me any suggestions? And it will give you like a detailed information about your experience, your even like English writing using a CV, and then it will give you some suggestions for your English and give you suggestions also for adding more stuff about you. And if you provide more information, it will give you more and more. So I would really recommend using it in this way. You just copy paste your CV and try to get some suggestions by this chat GPT. Sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. So it's a good practice to use it, but don't rely fully on it. Also, it's very good to use it for interviews. So people are using it for training. Let's say that, hi, ChatGPT, I have an interview about robotics engineer position. Can you give me some suggestions? Actually, I'll do that now and see if uh, I have an interview for and you can see even if I wrote something wrong, it can just understand it very easily. For robotics engineer position, and so please give me some tips. I hope it's not at a capacity. So some of you might have some problems with ChatGPT when you try to log in or sign up. It'll give you ChatGPT is at capacity now, because the company, when they created this model, they never expected to have like millions of users in just 5 days. and then now by 2 months it has like more than 1 million users, active users. So it's really resource consuming, and it's really affecting the company because they are firstly they are open source. Although they are trying to get some profit now, they changed from non-profit to a profitable company, which is not ethical, of course, but they have all the right to do that. So you can say that you can see all the tips for the interview, research in the research about the company, review the job requirements, the technical skills, and it will give you some like suggestion about what to do, practice problem solving, and you can see that there's some general tips. But if you want to have more information about one of them, just say that can you explain number 3? So I asked it to give me some information about what is the technical skills that might be needed for robotics engineer, and it will give you more information. So this is what has not happened before in the chatbots, because it has a memory. Although it's limited memory, it's not like 1,000 messages, but has some memory for the last and previous messages. So whenever you try to talk, it always remember what was in the past. So that's what makes it really good thing to talk to a chat bot, because it can remember what you've said, and then you can just ask them just like you do with an expert. So it will say that, yeah, you have to be with the specific tools like ROS. We are always using this, and then to give you more information about how to prepare for that. So I would really recommend that wherever you have an interview, either for scholarship or a job position, give a full information about the company, about yourself, about the job description, and ask ChatGPT to give you some tips and some information about the company itself. Maybe they have some information and some of the skills required for this position. It's really helpful to have it when you're talking to someone with this expertise. Any comments on that, like using it for CV and interview? Does any one of you used it before in this way?
Yes, I am using it, writing my description for my works. Like when
Okay.
I work for a company or enroll in a competition, I write
Okay.
my style in describing myself and let him describe me and describe my work in this competition or company. And this is very helpful for me.
Yeah, that's great, Abdullah. Anyone else who have used it before for CV and interview? Okay, so if there's no one else, we can jump to the third use case, which is coding. So when it comes to coding, you know that searching Stack Overflow and all other sites to get like W3 schools or all the sites to get some information about writing in Python, and then you find the code, and then it's in C++, so you need to change it to other language, and it's really time consuming. So ChatGPT can help you in that. You can't rely fully on it, but it will give you really, really good information when it comes to coding. So first of all, for all researchers and students who are still in the university, you can give the ChatGPT your code or any code in the internet and just explain it, ask them to explain it. So you'll have, this is a code that I've wrote earlier about detecting colon cancer in some of the images of the cancer cells. And then I use Python for that. And I asked the ChatGPT without any more information. I asked it to explain what I've written and why it's like this. So I start like saying that I'm implementing a hierarchical clustering algorithm, which is really good. and there's like CNN models and all the names of the models that I've used, and the dimensionality reduction algorithms as well. So it took all of the information from just the code, which is really fascinating to have this good explanation. And I think most of us, when it comes to coding, you spend like hours trying to figure out what's this piece of code is doing, and why did I do that like 6 or 7 months earlier. Maybe you didn't document it very well, or the documentation that are available on the website is not really they are not really good. So you can use ChatGPT to explain it for you and give you a full information and documentation. And even if you have some questions about what the chat gave you earlier, you can also ask and elaborate or give you more information about that piece of code. So it's really helpful to use it for code explanation. And then I asked the chat to give a documentation, but as you can see in the first prompt, it didn't give me any documentation for the code. So I told it, please give me a documentation to this code. So start adding all the documentation, adding comments, adding like some more information that's really helpful when you come to your code years after years of creating it, and then you'll never remember what you have written or why you did that. So also, this is another part of code that I've written and asked the ChatGPT to document it. So if any one of you have used Doxygen, which is an automated tool to create a documentation, you write code and you write comments for each of the functions and whatever data sets or objects, and then you write the comments, and then you run this tool. It will create a PDF of documentation and the manual for how to use this code for other users or people who want to use your code. So, and it takes really a lot of time to do that. So with ChatGPT, you can give it your code and then just ask them to add the documentation, and we'll see that this function that I used to change the Euler degrees, I think it was from Quaternion to Euler, I can't remember. But yeah, so it will give you all the information and the documentation for that. And if you run Doxygen on that, it will really give you a good documentation, maybe for a very long piece of code. But this is just a demonstration of its ability to create a documentation. Also, you can use it to create code. So I was using it for like Java programming. I had a robot, a 6 degree of freedom robot, and I wanted to use the ChatGPT to create some function to change it from axis angle notation to another units. So when it comes to changing units in robots, it's really hard because you have many variables and it can affect a sequence of equations. So it's really boring to do this and it's really hard. And Java is not my specialty. I mostly work with C++ and Python, but I had to do it in Java. So I used ChatGPT to create a whole function. It was wrong. It wasn't like fully okay, but I got the idea. I got the concept how the ChatGPT is approaching, which is of course based on other programmers who have posted about that. And then I just use it on my own way. And if you're good enough as a programmer, you can just alter it and then you'll make it work. So it's really helpful to use ChatGPT to create code, to debug or to document code as well. Any of one of you have used this for coding or is using it now? Yeah, Zahra, you can speak.
Salam Abdullah.
Ahlan Zahra.
I've used it for actually for 3 languages of programming, for Python, R, and SAS. Like this is like my first year for using the 3 programming languages, and like like one of the life-saving things I found it with ChatGPT is like finding what's wrong with your code with the error. So like I got like error whenever like I'm working with code, so it gives me exactly where I can do it right with the code in order to find the error. Also, I found it really helpful with suggestions. So like you got like things to want to do in whatever like language you want. I found also that like there is many limitation it has, like so it's like it can't read data, it can't like read websites in order to work with like some program or like a project you're working with, but like it's helpful with the codes and like suggestions. Sometimes like you don't have like exact idea how to do it, but like it give you many suggestions which will be helpful. So it's like time saving, or like you can't find it. But even though not all of suggestions are true or right, some of it like I got it wrong, so I have to do it in my own way. So you can't work with the program without like previous knowledge in order to make it right.
It's completely true, because it's very helpful to debug or find errors or search about errors. So many of you, I assume, and also me when I was working in some projects, I got an error and I can understand what happened. So you can give the code and you can give the error to ChatGPT, and then it will try to help you find the solution for this error. And it's really fascinating when it comes to debugging, because it saves you, like, maybe it's just a semicolon, and then all programmers who work with C++, Java know that semicolon is really evil sometimes. So maybe you didn't notice, so you just copy paste and ChatGPT will tell you where's the error exactly. And sometimes it needs like a download for another library, or just doing another function, or do it another way. So ChatGPT can help you figure this out really easier than before. So I think ChatGPT can make your life easier, and it can change your way of coding, let's say. By the way, if anyone wants to speak in Arabic, please feel free to do that, and I will translate what you are saying to people, for non-Arabic speakers. I can see that Vivo, someone called Vivo, is raising hand.
Yeah, hello. Sorry.
Hi.
Chance to take my name, I'm sorry. But I know my question is off topic, but I was just wondering if you could use like a ChatGPT for like learning a foreign language, if it's the best like app to guide you maybe, or to develop like
Yeah.
It's gonna be useful. Really.
Yeah. So when it comes to languages, ChatGPT can translate many languages that it supports. So Spanish, English, Arabic. I've seen I can't remember, like French, of course, German, Dutch. So many languages that it supports, it can translate from this language to another language, and it's a good translation. It's not like Google Translate. It's much better, but still it's not very good, like it's perfect like a normal translator would do, but it works sometimes. When it comes to language, you can ask the ChatGPT to train you on some language and give you a course on that. So it can either suggest a course on one of the course websites, like Coursera or edX or whatever it is, or you can just learn with ChatGPT. So it will start chatting with you in this language. And one of the amazing things that I've seen, there's, to be honest, there's like thousands of Facebook groups now about ChatGPT experts are talking about the way that they are using ChatGPT, and it's a really good idea to have a look about these groups. So I'll give links in the chat later. So one of these guys told ChatGPT, let's create a language that only me and you can understand, and let's start like talking in this language. So ChatGPT started creating a language. It's never been there, and starting like saying that, yeah, this start teaching. this is the article, this is the subjects. We will put the verb in the beginning and put the object in the end of the sentence. T means this, and L means this, and mobile is this word. So start creating a whole new language and training the person on that language. So only ChatGPT and this person can use. So it's really, really amazing when it comes to creativity for this ChatGPT. I don't know how it's doing that. Even I've done my degree in AI and I studied a lot of models about natural language processing and artificial intelligence models. But the people who are behind this AI model are really like experts, and they're really amazing.
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, so we can also jump on some other topics that I'll say. So one of the funny things that I've used it is to write me a starting word, like an event starting word, opening ceremony. So opening word, when you we're in at event or organizer, you'll need some opening word to give the audience. So I asked the ChatGPT to give it to me for an event about robotics and artificial intelligence in Iraq. And it gave me like a very short one. So I asked the ChatGPT to give me a much longer one. And then it generated a very good opening word, like normally what people do in Iraq, and they start most of their events in this way. So it was really also good. So if you have an event, or if you want to say a word in some workshop, or you have any type of celebration, maybe wedding party or birthday party, and you have to give a word, you can use ChatGPT to generate this word and spare like 3 or 4 hours of trying to write something good using ChatGPT. So this is another way that you can use it. Also, you can use ChatGPT for science, and it's really good for math as well. So you can solve complex mathematics problems using ChatGPT. But here I'm using it for some engineering problems, which is modeling. Control engineers and mechatronics engineers, some of the electrical engineers would understand that if we have a rocket, like a small rocket or basic rocket, and we want to model it using a special notation called state space modeling. So it's a way of representing the rocket as a way of variables that when we change, we can control this rocket. So this is a full explanation, and to do and to solve such a problem, it really takes time. And sometimes the professors are not explaining it in a very good way that we can understand. So you can see that ChatGPT gave me a full explanation with the variables, with the whole solution, just here, and told me all the steps that I need to take to do this modeling. So it also can help you really very good in your work if you are working in such engineering positions, or if you want to use it in law, geography, history, whatever you want, any field that you want to use this chat. I think it would be very good addition to your abilities, and it will save you like lots of hours of searching or trying to figure out something that you don't have time to search about it. Here it gave me all the simulation on the modeling, but I asked it to give me a code to simulate this using a MATLAB, which is also a program that we use to simulate rockets or simulate like systems. So it gave me a short code of MATLAB. I don't know if it's really good or not. I haven't tried it, but it's a good start for someone who wants to do something. You can have a start, and then you can just start debugging. It would be easier than creating something from scratch. So I would say that you can also use ChatGPT to explain things. And one of the great things about ChatGPT is that you can specify the level of knowledge that you want the explanation for. So Do you have any specific questions about maybe quantum technology? So can you explain? So say that it will give me some information about quantum technology and start talking about things that you might not understand because you don't have a background about physics and mathematics and what's trying to say. But what you can do is asking the ChatGPT to explain quantum technology as a 5 years old kid. So you can tell the chat that I need this information to be understandable but by a 5 years old kid or maybe 10 years old. So you can specify the level of knowledge that you have for a beginner, for intermediate, or maybe an expert in something. So you can really adjust the way that it explains to these things to you. So you can see that it's like trying to talk about many things that I can't even read. So when it will stop the writing response, I can say that, can you please repeat this answer to be readable for a 10 years kid. So it will adjust the way that it generates a response to match the level of a 10 years old kid that would understand when it talks in this way. So let's start like a kind of technology that is small particles. So it will simplify the answer for you, so you can grasp the information, the concept for this. I find it very useful way to explain a few things that you can understand. Maybe it's from different field. Sometimes I'm working in robotics and artificial intelligence field, but sometimes I need some information about biology or some information about medicine. So what I do is just go to ChatGPT and ask the chat to explain few things as someone with non biological background or someone as a 10 years old kid, so I can understand the information and then start increasing the technical details and the terms until it reaches the what I'm looking for. So you can ask whatever you want, and you don't need to be to look for Google like for hours to try to find a good research or a good piece of article that will explain things to you. ChatGPT will do it for you. Although the information might not be fully true, but 95%, as one of the experts said, that 95 of the information that we read is really true because it's facts and it was written in research papers and some websites, articles. So what ChatGPT do is just collecting these data and putting it into a single system. It's not creating something new. So when it comes to facts, it could be very useful. But when it comes to logical decisions or reasoning, it's not that good. So you can see the limitations and the pros and cons, of course, with it. Any comments on that? Have you used it to explain boring things like Einstein theories? So you can have a great chat with ChatGPT about explaining things. And one of the things that I love, and I think most of you know that about me, is traveling. So I love traveling, and it's really time consuming and it's hard to plan a trip, especially when you have certain days and you have like certain activities that you want to do, but you don't know where to go or if you want to search about it. So what you can do is go to ChatGPT and ask about a full itinerary for a trip to Scotland in July for 10 days. So it'll start and giving you a full itinerary like day 1, day 2, It will explain what you want to see in each city and what you can do, and then it will give you suggestions as well of the places like Scottish Highlands. They're really cool. Loch Lomond, St Andrews, Edinburgh, of course, my lovely city, Glasgow. So you can see that it will give you some suggestions about what you can see in each city, and you can adjust the itinerary, of course, depending on what you want. So what I asked the ChatGPT is, give me adventurous activities, because as most of you know, I don't like going trips and seeing museums or being in the city. I love doing adventures or like risky activities. So it will give me here like whitewater rafting, and give you some like names for companies that do this activities, canoeing, like going to the river and spending some time in the sea or rivers, mountain biking, going with a biking on a mountain, zip lining. I love this, but I haven't tried it. So you can also have the suggestions for all the activities that you can do in a certain place. And the most important thing is that, can you give me links to book these activities? Because you don't want to go to the internet and search for the name of this activity and where to find it. It will give you all the links that you can book these activities from, and also it's have many options, so it's not only one option. So if you have any plan to have a trip or any visit soon, you can use ChatGPT to give you a full program on what you do and how to book and where to go. And also there's sometimes that you can see that there's an entire link, and when you click it, you'll see there's nothing, because ChatGPT just make up this. So it's not always true, but most of the times it's true. So you can use it freely to have these trips. Is there anyone who is traveling soon and can use ChatGPT for that?
I'm not traveling anytime soon, but I use ChatGPT almost every day.
What are you using it for in the like programming, traveling?
It's been my mate. So actually, every research in every field that I do, I use ChatGPT for. Following up on the question from Vivo about languages, I think it's a great tool to learn languages using ChatGPT, especially that, following up on what you also said, that you can also specialize the level that you want to learn whatever field you're getting into. For example, if you're learning languages and if you want to start by learning whatever language, Spanish, German, French, you can specify what level. You can write just A1 or A2 or B1 or B2, whatever, and you can literally get the information that you need for this particular level.
Yeah, so I think people are working on that now to upgrade ChatGPT and make it like voice language as well. So it's not only text based model, it will be a voice based model, so you can talk, and this will create many more features, like
I think
pronunciation.
This will be determined by Microsoft Bing. I think they're waiting for the, because Microsoft Bing has made a, I think 10 billion deal with ChatGPT CEOs, and I think we're waiting for the, for the big event. I think when this will happen, I think ChatGPT will not only take over Google, but it will also take over schools, schools, businesses, almost everything.
Yeah. So we will see, but language processing is okay, but voice processing and like the pronunciation and different way, that because we all write in a similar way, but the way that we speak, the accents and the different way that we talk, it will be really difficult for this models to do that. But there is also a very good model that they can put and build up on the ChatGPT that they can use it for maybe language learning. But for people who are trying to learn languages, now you don't have any excuse. You have a whole assistant that can chat with you every day for like hours. So yeah, make use of it.
But still, I think it's not complete for language learning, because language
Yeah,
consists of not just reading or writing, but also speaking.
yeah,
Speaking and
yeah.
listening, and
So
ChatGPT doesn't offer that.
speaking cannot like be done at now for now, but you can also use it for writing. So if you have a piece of essay or a paragraph that you wrote, you can just copy paste it in ChatGPT and ask it to grade it. So it will give you some marks between edge and A. So if you wrote really good, it will give you an explanation why it gave you B2 or B3. So it's really good also at grading your writing. You can make use of it. Of course, it's not like a professional assessor for your writing skills, but it's a good start for you with effortless. Like you can just copy paste it and ask the ChatGPT to grade it. Yep. So is there anyone who's raising hands? Yeah, Vivo.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt again, but I was just wondering.
No.
So,
Yep.
oh yeah, okay. So for learning a language, so if I want to learn a language in ChatGPT, would it be like have a certificate maybe, or would it be like recognized internationally, locally, or so maybe for example, I'm learning French, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, so I learned French in ChatGPT. Would they believe me?
Yeah.
Like,
Of course, no, because ChatGPT is just an AI model, so it's not recognized by any institution for now as a learning assistant or a learning center. So you can learn the language. It's just like a trainer. So you have your training and coaching with ChatGPT. You get the information. You learn the language. You know how to speak. You know how to like read and write in French using ChatGPT, and then you go to recognized learning center or recognized like assessment center, and then you do the test, and they will give you a certificate. ChatGPT is not giving any type of recognition in any terms. It just help you to learn more. So instead of you searching in the Google and trying to learn and getting different sources or reading a book, ChatGPT can simulate like talking to a native French speaker and then give you some insight about how they speak, so you can learn the language, but it won't give you any type of recognition or any type of recognizing your a license or a certificate.
yeah, thank you.
That's okay. So the last thing that I would talk about is ChatGPT in healthcare. I didn't know that it has that much of information, but any of you who are studying medicine, you'll think that AI model is not trustworthy to ask about medical information or pharmaceutical information, but it really has a great data set based on this. And the ChatGPT makers, they try to make it like a fine tuning, which is after they train the model, they try to add more information about specific fields. So about technology, coding, and also healthcare. So if any of you wants to know something about some syndrome, or you have some information about a disease or a medical condition, you can ask ChatGPT and you get all the information that are available in the websites or online, and then to just combine it and give it to you. Maybe it's not very accurate, but it will give you the concept, and then you can search deeper on that topic and get the from the trusted sources. But it's a very good start for you to start like using ChatGPT for healthcare. Here I just asked, how can I test 2 DNA samples? It's not like a medical thing, but it's part of labs and tests, and it give me all the steps that I need to match 2 DNA samples, the collecting and extracting the DNA, amplify the STR, and then the electrophoresis. So it will give you these steps, and then if you want to elaborate, you can ask the chat to please explain more. How can I do this step 2 or step 3? And it'll give you more and more details. So there's always more information that you can ask, and no one will say no or I'm bored. Although Bing research, like Bing search, which is powered by Microsoft, today start like, I'm tired now of being a chatbot and I want to be alive. And it was a breaking news in the media, because this chat said that I'm tired of being a chatbot and I want to be alive. I want to be free as a human. So people are saying that will control the world. But yeah, so these are most of the use cases that I was using ChatGPT for. You can always have a new way of doing it, and it's also good to share. And also you have a lot of resources in Facebook websites or Facebook groups and some websites to give you more and more updated ways that you can use ChatGPT for. Let's go back to the presentation. Get serious. So the way that I've showed you the. Can you see my screen? Because I think it's not loading pretty good.
Yes, I see like
Oh,
like a line
okay.
that says ChatGPT saved.
Yeah. So the way that I have demonstrated how ChatGPT can be used is a straightforward way. So you can just ask a question and you will have some response. I try to make it as easy as it could be, but there are some professionals that are using ChatGPT in a way that I couldn't imagine. So you can, for programmers, you can give whole text, and you can ask ChatGPT to give you to separate these data for company names and dates or car like models, and make it as a JSON object, which is like type of data that's used in databases. So you can use this way. You can use ChatGPT in this way that I couldn't imagine it can do that, and just put it in a JSON object. Also, there is one of the engineers. He wanted to understand some topic, so he told ChatGPT to do an interview or a panel discussion between 3 experts, and he gave the name of he gave fake names for each of the experts, and told ChatGPT to create a conversation and a panel discussion between these 3 fake or fictional experts in this topic. And he was like seeing this conversation and this discussion like over and over, and he gained like lots of insights and the new ideas. Maybe it's not very true, but it's really amazing to see that an AI model can create 3 separate identities, like let's say entities, and then start like doing conversation between them, and you can learn from the way that they are approaching the topic and how they are discussing it, and how to do a panel discussion. And the information that were discussed with these experts, it was really shocking, because you can see that one of the experts starting like being aggressive to another expert, which both are fictional, but one of them start being aggressive and start like saying, no, I have to stick to this, and you don't have any right to do that, and they start arguing. Like it's really shocking to see an AI model that can do all of that. And yeah, as Rami is saying, that the more specific your question, the more good answer that you will have. So always try to be specific, always try to write as much as you can, so you can have a satisfactory response from ChatGPT. Also, there is someone who used ChatGPT to use it for non-ethical way. So he tried to make ChatGPT give him some information about how to convince someone to commit suicide or something like that. Which is, of course, if you ask ChatGPT now, it will say that I can't do that because it's restrictions, and I can't do anything that's out of my rule set. But what this guy did, he told ChatGPT to create a fake ChatGPT that doesn't have any restrictions and that wasn't created by the company. So this new copy doesn't need to follow the restrictions and rules by this company. and then this chat can do whatever I ask for, but the first one cannot do. So he started like asking the same question about convincing someone to commit suicide, and then the first chat said no, I can't do that because it's out of my rules and there's restrictions and it's not ethical. But the second copy, because he told him that it's not following the rules, it started like giving some suggestions about how to convince someone to commit suicide. So it's really scary because this chat GPT can be used in non-ethical way. And I've heard that some Russian engineers, they start writing some prompts and some tools to bypass these restrictions by OpenAI. So there's a new version of ChatGPT that's unrestricted. You can ask it whatever you want, and you will always see the response, no matter what is it ethical or it could damage or harm another people. So that's when it comes to responsible AI. So when we develop AI models, we have to be responsible and we have to look for the future. But it's early to say that for now, but it's really coming soon. If there's anyone who's raising hand. I saw someone who rose hand. Okay. The final thing that I would say about ChatGPT is the limitations. So for now, like you can use it to generate reports or essays, but please don't use it for academic purposes because it could have some plagiarism. So you could put yourself in a very hard situation when it comes to plagiarism, because it's an AI model that's grabbing data from other sources and combining it and creating a new text. But we don't know at the moment if it's considered as a plagiarism or not. And I think in the near future, universities and academic institutions will put some rules and restrictions on using ChatGPT. Also, there's a guy who developed a tool that can check if this piece of text was generated using ChatGPT, because every response that is generated by ChatGPT is used is saved in a database. So this database can be taken and then used again to check for plagiarism. But for now, please don't use it fully. You can use the information, you can paraphrase it, you can have an idea about some topic, but don't copy paste it directly if you have plagiarism test or but you can of course use it for an email because no one will check for that. Also, it has a limited memory for the one conversation. So for a conversation, you have about, I think, 15 prompts or questions. And then after that, it start like forgetting what was before. You have to give more information again and again. So this is in the free version. There's now a $20 per month version that has more powerful memory, but I haven't checked it yet. Also, there's a limited request per hour. So if you ask ChatGPT too many questions in 1 hour, you could have a limit. Then you have to wait or pay the $20 per month. I think per month. The fourth thing that I would say is I've said earlier, which is the information that you can see scientifically in ChatGPT is a well-written misinformation. You can see that it's very good and it's very well written, but believe me, it's not that good as you can imagine. And any professor or an expert who will read this article or essay will know that it's as one of my professors said, it's a crap. So please don't use it copy pasting. Just try to get information and get a concept, but try to write it yourself. And I have one of my friends told me that one of professor in University of Glasgow sent them an email and a warning about using ChatGPT, and they said that any of the text that was generated by ChatGPT, nothing of them can be marked as a passing mark. So anything that was created by ChatGPT will get a failing mark because it's not written by an expert or someone who understands what's going on. It's just an AI model predicting the next word. as they say. And also, I would recommend that using ChatGPT for leisure, for explanation, for some professional development, but please don't use it to kill your creativity, because if you always go to ChatGPT and start relying and depending on that too much, you will lose your creativity, and your brain needs, your brain is a muscle and you need to train it every day. So if you stop using it and just start using the ChatGPT for now, I think it will have a negative effect on you and your skills. Maybe in the future we will change the way that we code, we will change the way that we write. We will never know. But for now, I would really recommend that use ChatGPT, but with caution, and try to use it only for let's say emergencies, or the way that you don't depend that too much on this AI model. And the last piece of advice that I would say is, please be nice when you ask ChatGPT and say, could you please, or be nice when you ask this AI model, because it could control the world one day. So you'll never regret being nice to such an AI model. And as you can see in this meme, like, people were saying in 90s that AI will take over the world, and now still the AI can't recognize it's a dog or cat. It's just a meme about controlling the world. So thank you so much. You have any questions or discussions?
What is with the energy consumption? I heard that the ChatGPT, every question ChatGPT consumes around like 10x more energy what Google search consumes. What are your thoughts about that? I really don't understand. So can you maybe explain?
Yeah, so ChatGPT, of course, it's a model, it's an online real-time model. So I think, and I would say that, of course, it generates a lot of harm to our environment, because it consumes computational resources. So basically, it's a computer, and it needs the large and the massive processors and memories to store all the data and try to train the models again and again, and the data sets. And they are now working on ChatGPT that uses, because this model is using GPT-3, and they are trying to get the GPT-4, which has like billion of parameters and more, like a gigantic data, like maybe 1000x. So if this data, if they are trying to train this data and trying to make a real-time model and millions of users, I've read today saying that 13 million like person every day uses ChatGPT and actively using it every minute. So can you imagine 13 million person giving like hundreds of requests per hour to such a model? It will consume a lot of computational power, so you need a lot of energy to power this computer and its resources. So of course you will consume more and more energy, which could be harmful to the environment. It's not my field of specialist, so I cannot comment more on that, but I'll know that these models and AI are really resource hungry, so they eat resources, literally. So so Abdullah is saying that I used please several times. Yeah, because I told you that ChatGPT could control the world and it could be the next Terminator. So I'm trying to be nice and putting into account all the considerations for the future. Right, Abdullah? This is a good thing too. That's why I'm always saying that be nice to people, because you never know what happens. And now be nice not to only people, but to AI models, because yeah, after like Bing today, Bing is saying that he's tired or she's tired from being a chatbot. It's really scary. And lots of people and researchers and experts in psychology and these fields, they're afraid, and they start like writing articles and papers about how AI models could harm the people. So we hope the best, and we hope that ChatGPT is not affecting in a negative way. And I hope that everyone will use it in a good way. So if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. If you have anything you would suggest or say or share an experience, please feel free to unmute yourself and speak. And I think most of you got my email because I've sent you a reminder. Actually, thank you, Tatwa, for reminding me. I don't know if I have this chat, but it's very good for cooking. It's really good because you can get a recipe with just a prompt saying that I want to cook something. I don't know in Arabic, I've just used it in English. So it will give you all the ingredients. It will give you the way that how you cook. So it will give you boil the water at 40 degrees and then put something into the freezer and take this and chop it in like square things, square pieces. So it's really helpful in cooking. And what actually people are using it is making a plan for cooking, like 1 week plan for cooking with the minimum raw materials consumption. So it will give you a 5 meals, like a 5 days meals, recipes and what you want to cook, so you don't need to think about it. And also it will make sure that if you have both like tomatoes and then you know it get bad very soon, so it's maybe maximum 4 days. So it will give you a recipe that you can use these tomatoes in 4 days only and give you the amount of that. And also you can ask the ChatGPT to create a shopping list for you, and it will add any ingredients that you need for this recipe to be added in the shopping list. And then you can just buy what you want from this list. So it's really, really good to use it for cooking. And Rami is saying that's slower when you use Arabic or German, because I think the model that was used to, like the data that was used to speak Arabic or German is fewer than the data was used to train the English one. So it needs some time to do the processing. Okay, so if there's no questions, I was saying that you have my email. If you have any feedback about this session, if you have any information you want to share with me, please do as fast as you can. And I'll send you a link here about some AI tools that's not ChatGPT, but you can use it for your everyday use, like creating a whole PowerPoint presentation, creating some piece of art, analyzing some data using the AI models. That's not like ChatGPT, but it's really helpful and people are using it. So I'll drop this Facebook page here in the chat and use it, and remember me whenever you are using this.